The Philippines is set to conduct joint patrol operations.
The drill is already underway, where the U.S. have taken place in the West Philippine Sea.
Just weeks after a major natural gas discovery shook up the energy outlook in the West Philippine Sea, Philippine and U.S. forces sailed side by side into one of the region's most contested waters. The two treaty allies carried out joint exercises near Scarborough Shoal, a disputed area inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, but also claimed by China. The shoal sits just north of the newly confirmed offshore gas reservoir, adding even more weight to the timing of the drills. This marked the 11th maritime cooperative activity between the United States and the Philippines since November 2023, a clear sign that their defense partnership is not slowing down. At the center of the rising tension is Malampaya East 1, a newly discovered gas field located about 45 miles off mainland Palawan. While the site falls within the Philippines' 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, where it has internationally recognized rights to explore and develop resources under the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, it also overlaps with China's sweeping 9-line claim. That overlap has turned routine operations into high-stakes maneuvers. The joint sail wasn't symbolic, it was operational. The Philippines deployed its guided missile frigate BRP Antonio Luna, FA-50 fighter jets, an A-29 Super Tucano light attack aircraft, an AW-109 helicopter, and the Philippine Coast Guard's offshore patrol vessel, BRP Gabriela Silang. The United States sent in the USS John Finn, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer backed by an MH-60R Seahawk helicopter. Together, the Allied forces conducted complex combined naval and air drills, including replenishment at sea maneuvers, surface warfare simulations, night steaming exercises, formation sailing, and coordinated flight operations. These exercises sharpen interoperability, improve tactical coordination, and build real-time trust between forces that may one day have to respond together under pressure. But there was another presence in the area. During the drills, a Chinese Type 052 destroyer entered the exercise zone. Unlike previous years, when Chinese vessels remained on the distant horizon, Beijing's ships have begun moving closer, sometimes entering the designated training perimeter. This time, the Chinese warship did not engage in aggressive behavior. Still, its presence underscored the growing friction in these contested waters. Meanwhile, U.S. naval power continues to loom large in the region. The USS Abraham Lincoln, a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, had been operating in the South China Sea just weeks earlier, conducting live-fire exercises as part of routine operations. Its presence coincided with Philippines survey and drilling activities that ultimately led to the new gas discovery. In mid-January, the U.S. Navy also confirmed that the Tripoli Expeditionary Strike Group, led by the amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli and supported by the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, began its forward-deployed mission in the Indo-Pacific. Its stated goal: maintain peace and stability while ensuring freedom of navigation for all nations. Taken together, these deployments send a powerful message. While Washington does not claim the waters, it is clearly backing Manila's sovereign rights within its exclusive economic zone. By maintaining a visible and capable presence, from destroyers to supercarriers, the United States is effectively helping shield the Philippines' multi-trillion-dollar oil and gas potential from coercion. At the same time, new U.S.-accessible military sites across the Philippine archipelago, many strategically located near key maritime areas, further strengthen deterrence and rapid response capabilities. For Manila, this growing alliance support is critical. Developing offshore energy resources like Malampaya East, one could reduce dependence on imports, stabilize electricity prices, and secure long-term energy supply. For Washington, supporting the Philippines reinforces a broader strategy: strengthen alliances, push back against expansive territorial claims, and preserve open access to one of the world's most important waterways. Beneath the surface lies enormous energy wealth. Above it, naval ships maneuver carefully across contested waters. And as exploration continues, so does the strategic balancing act, one that could shape the future of energy security and power dynamics in the Indo-Pacific. In 2024, Germany made something clear. The Indo-Pacific is no longer a distant concern. It's a strategic priority. Berlin has called its Indo-Pacific deployment the German Navy's most important defense diplomacy mission of the year. And at the heart of that mission is one key goal: building trust and strengthening partnerships with countries like the Philippines. Germany's Indo-Pacific strategy lays it out plainly: protect a rules-based international order and keep global sea lanes free and open. For a trading powerhouse like Germany, whose economy depends heavily on maritime commerce, stability in the South China Sea isn't optional, it's essential. That includes the West Philippine Sea. By sending its naval ships into these contested waters, Germany is signaling that it's prepared to stand up for international law and freedom of navigation. It's not just symbolic, it's a message. Europe is paying attention. At the same time, the German Navy is sharpening its own edge. Through complex multinational drills, it's training crews and junior officers in real-world scenarios alongside Allied forces. 2 German warships joined Exercise Noble Raven 24-3, operating with navies from Australia, France, Italy, Japan, and the United States, all amid rising tensions in the West Philippine Sea, where Chinese vessels have repeatedly clashed with Philippine ships inside Manila's exclusive economic zone. The growing presence of NATO member navies in the region speaks volumes. The global community is increasingly concerned that tensions in these waters could spiral, potentially drawing in the United States under its 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty with the Philippines. And the Philippines? It's no longer just a regional player. It is fast becoming a frontline state in the intensifying US-China rivalry. As Washington deploys more advanced military assets across the Philippine archipelago, a critical link in the strategic First Island chain that includes Taiwan and Japan, Manila's importance to U.S. defense strategy is growing rapidly. Geography makes it unavoidable. The Philippines sits just east of the South China Sea, a maritime highway that carries roughly 30% of global trade, about $4 trillion worth of goods every year. Disruptions here wouldn't just affect Asia, they would ripple across the global economy. The archipelago also forms a key segment of the First Island chain, widely viewed by military planners as one of the most effective geographic barriers to deter Chinese expansion into the Pacific. For nearly 8 decades, the Philippines has anchored its foreign policy around a close alliance with the United States, built on shared security interests and deep historical ties. That alliance is now entering a new phase. Under expanded defense agreements, the U.S. has gained access to additional military sites across the country, strengthening its ability to operate in the region. In any future crisis involving Taiwan or the South China Sea, the Philippines would play a pivotal role. President Joe Biden reaffirmed this commitment during his May 1st meeting with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., declaring that America's defense pledge to the Philippines, including in the South China Sea, remains ironclad. The stakes are rising. China's expanding presence in contested waters has heightened concerns in Manila about sovereignty and territorial integrity. At the same time, outside powers, from Washington to Berlin, are stepping in to reinforce the principle that international waters must remain open and governed by law, not force. What's unfolding in the Indo-Pacific is more than a series of naval visits. It's a reshaping of alliances, a recalibration of power, and a recognition that the balance of the 21st century may very well hinge on what happens in these waters. The question now is not whether the world is watching, it's how far nations are willing to go to protect stability in one of the most strategically vital regions on Earth. Facing a much larger and better equipped Chinese military, the Philippines has had to make a hard calculation. On its own, Manila knows it would struggle to stand up to Beijing in a prolonged confrontation. So instead of going it alone, the Philippines has leaned harder into its long-standing alliance with the United States, gaining advanced training, intelligence support, and access to some of the most capable military technology in the world. That shift has changed the equation. A tighter Philippines-US alliance raises the stakes for China. Any move against Philippine forces or territory now carries the risk of drawing in a treaty-bound superpower with unmatched naval power, precision weapons, and decades of combat experience. The presence of sophisticated U.S. systems, from missile defenses to surveillance platforms, strengthens deterrence in ways Manila simply could not achieve by itself. And it's not just about the South China Sea. The expanded U.S. military footprint in northern Philippines, close to Taiwan, adds another strategic layer. In the event China attempts to forcibly unify Taiwan with the mainland, American forces positioned in the archipelago could enable faster, more coordinated operations. Geography alone makes the Philippines a crucial piece of that puzzle. From Beijing's perspective, the cost of confrontation has gone up. From Manila's perspective, the choice was shaped by pressure. Repeated tensions and aggressive actions in contested waters narrowed its options. Strengthening the alliance with Washington became the most practical way to balance a rising China and protect its territorial claims. In a region where power dynamics are shifting fast, the Philippines isn't just reacting, it's recalibrating, aligning itself with a partner capable of matching strength with strength, and hoping that a stronger alliance today prevents a bigger conflict tomorrow. The evolving security landscape in the Indo-Pacific raises important questions worth examining thoughtfully. How do smaller nations navigate relationships with major powers while protecting their independence? What role should alliances play in maintaining stability in contested regions? And how can deterrence be balanced with diplomacy to prevent misunderstandings from turning into conflict? The situation surrounding the Philippines is not simply a story of military buildup. It reflects broader themes of geography, power dynamics, economic interdependence, and international law. Understanding these complexities helps us move beyond headlines and consider the deeper strategic forces shaping today's world, and the choices nations must make to secure both their sovereignty and long-term peace.